Hey everybody, it's Lisa Copeland, and I'm so excited to bring you my Big Sellers pop-up show. Because you know what I say about that? The best and the brightest, they're very hard to get to sometimes. So I've got to be able to, get them when I can get them and interview them when I can. And today is no different. My friend Shawn Thomas, who is the founder of Ask a Millionaire, who's got over 1 million followers on Instagram. Quite the rock star. We're very excited to have you here. I want to let everybody know Shawn is going to answer questions, but because we're recording this for a couple of different shows, we're going to hold the questions till the end. So please put up your questions for Shawn, but I will be answering them, or he will be answering them at the end. Shawn, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me here, Miss Lisa.
I am excited to have you here. I'm trying to get back here to the other part of our meeting. So for the million people that follow you out there, it looks like you've been traveling quite a bit. Tell us about your adventures.
Ooh, I can't tell you everything.
Well, that's what I asked you, if you've been behaving yourself.
I've been behaving. I just went to Paris for a little bit. Then I went to New York for a wine auction. You know, I'm a wine collector.
Yes.
And so I bought some fantastic wine at a wine auction in New York. And then I went out to Los Angeles for my birthday weekend over Memorial Day.
I saw that. And it looks like all million of your Instagram followers wished you a happy birthday.
They did.
Well, I want you to tell everybody about you. You know, you've got a super interesting background, and just what you're doing, by paying it forward with Ask a Millionaire. So, but I want you to talk about what you did to put yourself in this position. What was your business? Tell us about that and how you got there.
So, quintessential journey of an entrepreneur, and long story short, because we all have long stories and people really don't care. They just want to know how much money did you make? How much money did you make, and can you help me make money? At 32 years old, I started a company. If you've ever stayed in a hotel and they have those computers in the business center or the lobby that you can use as a guest, I was one of the first companies to create that product and service in the hotel industry. Through some creativeness and innovation, we became the dominant leader of the pack. And in 2013, I ended up selling the company to a private equity group for a little over $20 million. At the time, I owned 43% of the company. And, so we were Inc. 500 a couple years. We had 100 employees at the very end, went through several mergers, acquisitions. What I like to tell people when they're getting to know me these days and asking me for feedback as a mentor is I pretty much went through everything imaginable as a small business owner on that journey. So today, when someone comes to me and asks me for mentorship or feedback or advice, they know that I'm coming 100% from a place from experience to the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, everything. And my forte, as you know, is sales. That was my, even though I was a CEO of the company, sales and new business development was what I was great at and what I focused on. But I still had to learn every other facet of the business, from operations to web to customer service to culture to branding, everything. So been down that journey. It was amazing. And I sold the company in December of 2013.
And I love what you said about that. I was just watching a video the other day of one of my absolute favorite people in the world, and that's Guy Kawasaki, who is the chief evangelist for Apple. And he said one of the jobs, his superpowers is that he could go out and make the pitch. He said, if you're sitting in the C-suite, if you're an entrepreneur, you're an owner of a company, and you can't make the pitch, if you're depending on someone else to sell your goods and services, you're never going to make it. And I really found that interesting. I found it really, really interesting because, you wouldn't think that Steve Jobs was out there doing that. But of course, when you'd see him on stage, and it sounds like you were the roll your sleeves up entrepreneur, CEO, and you were out there making it happen.
Absolutely. I was that particular type of founder, entrepreneur, CEO. But I tell you, I don't know if I necessarily 100% agree that the CEO and founder has to be that evangelist or brand ambassador or chief cheerleader, if you will, because we all have, our own connotative way of doing things. And sometimes there's been some great entrepreneurs who weren't that great with people, and they recognized it very early in their business and hired, some fantastic people to do it. But for me personally, I agree with you. I agree with Guy that when you're a small company, communication and the ability to effectively communicate, which helps in sales and negotiation and influence, all the way from your customers to your vendors, to your partners, to your employees, everything revolves around that. And you better be a damn good visionary and leader with your communication skills in order to get people to be on board with your company.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to do on a Saturday when I'd be at the dealership is go out and sell a car. I always had paperwork and stress and vendors and all the things running these car dealerships. But my favorite thing was to go sell a car. And I think it's because I never lost, I never lost my love of people or the actual of making the sale, right? Of the negotiation, the sale, when the customer says yes. So I agree. I think that there's two different kinds of CEOs. So once you sold your company, most guys like you, we can do the math, 43% of, what do we say, 20 or 30 million?
I wish it was 30, 20.
20. That's a lot of money. So, a lot of guys or gals might have just gone off, bought an island, kicked back and, had a good life. What drove you to decide to start Ask a Millionaire to mentor other people? I mean, you're very unselfish with your time, and it's amazing to me. That's what I liked about you when I first met you. I thought, wow.
Well, thank you. And I would have to say it would have been a really, really tiny island with that amount of money.
Yeah, sure.
After taxes, for those aspiring entrepreneurs, I have a lot of salespeople that this is going out to, but for those that are entrepreneurs as well, you really don't know how much money something is until you get a little bit of it. And then you're like, well, that wasn't quite as much as I thought. I need to get my ass back to work. Right. When I sold my company, I went through traditional, what they call founder syndrome, where you don't know what in the world you're going to do next. People ask me today, Shawn, how do I figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life? And I'm like, welcome to the club. I'm 48 and I still don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Right.
Because it changes.
One of them.
Yeah, it just changes. Wine is definitely one of them, but I don't want to own a winery. This is a weird way to say this, but it's the God's honest truth, which everything that comes out of my mouth is, to a fault sometimes. But I was on Instagram as a traditional, just Instagram consumer of content, not a creator of content. And I came across these millionaire accounts on Instagram, the ones that are all about motivation. And every single one of them is driving a Ferrari and a Maserati and a Rolls Royce, and there's stacks of cash and it's all, you better get the hustle going. And it's all the rhetoric of sales and business. But you don't know who, I couldn't figure out who was running these accounts. And it kind of pissed me off. And I'm like, I am a millionaire. That's not how millionaires live. I know hundreds of millionaires and they don't live like that.
You mean they're not balling around in their Ferrari all day long, drinking Dom Perignon and hanging at the yacht?
I've got a couple nice cars, and I had a Bentley and a Maserati, but I'm not out there flaunting it in that way. Not that there's not judging, but I'm just saying most millionaires make the money so they can disappear, not so they can go show it off.
Right.
It's not bragging if it's true. Just because I'm driving my nice car doesn't mean I'm out there flaunting it on Instagram. But the point being, I didn't know who these people were running these accounts. And I'm going, this is kind of weird. They're misguiding these young adults that are on social media. They're not giving them the whole story. And they're certainly not helping them. They might be motivating and inspiring them through materialistic items, but they're not mentoring them. They're not giving them real solid advice on how to sell and how to communicate and how to set goals and how to use mentors and coaches like you. They're not giving any of that. They're just saying, hey, follow me. I've got $1 million. So I said, I'm going to create one of these accounts. And as I started thinking about it, I said, going back to my branding of my old company, I said, well, what do I represent? And I just said, as I started to find some success, people wanted to ask me questions. People always want to say, well, how'd you do it? Can you, what did you do? All that. So that's where I was like, and I wanted to keep Millionaire in the title because it's just got that great marketing buzz. And so I just called it Ask a Millionaire. And from day one, I basically answered every comment and direct message that anybody would send me, because keep in mind, I wasn't working at the time. I was in kind of retirement mode. I was just hanging out at the beach in Manhattan Beach. And so I had all the time in the world. And so I had a lot of fun in the beginning. And then it kind of transpired to live streaming with Periscope when Periscope came out in the summer of 2015. And I started sending my audience over to Periscope and building a big live streaming mentorship platform. And then Instagram adopted live streaming. And so now I mainly do almost all of my live streaming on Instagram. And I don't know if you want me to tell you why I use Instagram.
Yeah, no, I do. One of the questions I was going to ask you, because I know so many people that watch the show and so many entrepreneurs. It's like, okay, there's so many social media platforms. And of course, I know you and I know your platforms, but your Facebook platform's not near as robust, listen to me, robust as your Instagram platform. And maybe that's because you only put so much attention. Tell us about why you chose Instagram.
For live streaming, and what I do is, I'm the original live stream mentor. I actually got that trademark. It's been issued. It's sitting here on my desk, the original live stream mentor. When doing question and answer sessions, Instagram and Periscope are by far the best platforms because they make it easy to see the comments coming up on the screen and you can answer them very easily. On Facebook, it's not as easy. Facebook is better if you have a themed, content-driven communication that you want to put out there, and then you'll go back after the fact and read the comments and respond. It works great, but that requires, as you know, a lot of time to put together a show.
Right.
For me, I don't have to put a lot of time into what I do because I'm basically just answering questions from the audience. And let's face it, most audiences are selfish, and all they want is the time and attention that you're going to give them right now, immediate satisfaction. So they don't want to wait until you read their comment afterwards. They want immediate satisfaction. So if you're a great live streamer, which I would consider myself expert level live streaming, I can zip through and answer questions, hundreds, if not thousands of questions in a 30, 45-minute session. And it helps create that know-like trust from a personal brand perspective. So that's why I love Instagram.
So what makes you an expert live streamer? What is it? Is it because you're good on camera, because you understand how to, run the flow of the show, the questions? Like, what is it? What would it take for us to be expert live streamers?
Just like anything, if you want to use Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours, you could just kind of relate it to that. I've done, if you practice something and you do thousands and thousands of live streams, you're going to be better than your first one, right? If you go out there and you're selling cars or selling a product or service, you're probably going to suck your first time. But after doing it a couple of years, you start to develop your script and develop your confidence and start understanding how things go and reading body language and verbal and nonverbal communication and learning how to listen. You're going to get better. So for me, it was understanding the dynamic of how to run the format, but it's the lighting, it's the sound, it's the background, it's knowing where to position yourself on the camera. Like if you look at me right now, I'm like centered and a little bit higher. A lot of people will do their live streams and they're like this. They're like at the bottom and they're just kind of looking down at this.
Yeah, it makes me
people
crazy.
Don't want to watch it. People don't want to watch it. People want to look at the camera. It's just like regular television. There's a lot of, of processes that go to making a good live streamer. And of course, I think some people, as some people are meant to be on the stage more than off the stage.
Right.
And I've always, I used to be a professional singer, so I always enjoy being on the stage. So being in front of the camera is something that I've always enjoyed.
Yeah, one of my agents said, there are people that are meant to be the star, and then there are people that are just meant to be support cast. Own whatever role that you're supposed to be in, and do it well. So what is your opinion? Because you truly are a millionaire, you truly are an expert. You're out there and you're giving back so much. What is your opinion of everybody in the world now? They want to be Gary Vee, they want to be Grant, they want to be you, they want to be, I think it's just you three really that kind of dominate that whole space. So what are your thoughts about that? I mean, It just seems like there's a lot of nonsense out there. There's a lot of good stuff that I like to watch, some sales experts, but some of it is just nonsense.
I agree. And I appreciate you putting me in the likes of two guys that are really crushing it and much more financially successful and have even bigger audiences than I do. So thank you for that. I would say this, Lisa, just like I say to the people that I mentor, and I know you probably feel the same way. I tell people that there's no substitute for developing a one-on-one relationship with a coach, mentor, or advisor. It's fun to consume content and listen and get some motivation from some of the channels that are out there. But what differentiates someone like myself from some of the other people that you're talking about, not the successful people like Gary and others, we did something. We're expert at something. Yeah. We didn't just say, I'm going to go put myself on social media and try to become expert at something.
Exactly.
Before we got on social media, we already made our money. We already became expert at something. And now we're sharing those experiences and allowing people to come along on the journey as we are on a new journey ourselves with social media and personal branding, authority marketing, influencer marketing, whatever you want to call it. So I think that's the biggest step that a lot of people forget, is that the crawling part, the walking part, is you've got to go do something before people are going to want to use you as an expert. You have to be an expert.
You do. And, and to your point, and I think that, and one of the things that I'll say about Grant, because I've known him for, I think since 2010, I tell this show a lot. I tell this story a lot. He walked in my dealership back in 2010. I was a nobody and he was a nobody at the time. And he walked in, flew in on Delta, not on the G5. And he was trying to sell me his training. And, the thing I'll say about Grant is that, people ask me, he's consistent. He never gives up. It isn't, you're not one and done being an expert or, developing, brand authority, cult branding, or whatever we want to call what you and I do for a living. It's consistency. You are now your brand 24/7. And that means you live it in your social life, on social media, you live it in your business life. And I think a lot of people jump in, they're like, well, I did 6 videos and it didn't work. So now I'm getting out. And, right. And Grant, the guy is relentless. He's absolutely relentless. And I will say that about him. He texted me about 2 weeks ago and he said, hey, send me a video. I want to introduce you to my audience, about entrepreneurs. And, I thought, it was just, it was like probably at 7:00 at night, and it was from his phone. Right. And so, yeah. The guy runs his ship and he runs his brand. And I know you do the same thing. And do you believe that that's critical, even when you get as big as you, Gary, and Grant?
But the bottom line is, yes, absolutely. But I think that the bottom line is that when you reach a certain critical mass in your, let's just say, call it follower base, if you will, your audience, mm-hmm. There's no more of just your agenda. Your agenda becomes your audience's
right
agenda. And that's what what's been really cool about what I do is 100% driven by me. I had no product, no system, no course, no book, no nothing. Everything that I do now, from the ebook that I did, that you can find on Amazon,
Amazon.com.
Exactly. To the TEDx talk I did around the book, to the courses and the goal setting platform that I'm in beta mode with right now. Everything that I have created and I've done with Ask a Millionaire, including the mentorship group that I put together, everything has been 100% to serve the need and demand of the audience. I didn't have like a product that I went to market with and then tried to go find that audience. The Ask a Millionaire audience are just people that want and need access to somebody that they don't have access to today.
But so that's why you've got the following you've got, Shawn, because people trust you. You are an authority, and you're accessible also.
Right.
just to be able to, get through to you. So tell us about most won't, but I will. I love that. Like, I think that's one of the best hashtags I've ever seen.
Well, thank you. The
You're
way
welcome.
the way it came about was when I was developing kind of the branding for the AskAMillionaire.com website. We wanted to have some sort of slogan, if you will, and we just started. My branding person said, "Well, what made you successful?" And I said, the quintessential line, which has been said a million different ways, which is, I'm willing to do what others won't. Most won't do the things, and I will. And I just said, that's a hashtag right there. Most won't, I will. And that's how it came about. Was when I mentor people right now, I say to them, if you will just basically ingrain this habitually into your thought process, when you say, I need to do this, I should do this, just say to yourself, think of who you put on a pedestal as the most successful person in the world. And let's just say it's me, we're talking about me.
Just talking about you right now.
I say, well, if I say I need to do this, what would Shawn do? He would go do it. Like, he's relentless. He would just go do it. He wouldn't even think about it, because that's how you find success. So most won't, I will. So most wouldn't do it, which is why most aren't in the 1%. Most don't reach the goals. Most actually don't even set goals. I will. And if you just develop that mindset among everything that you do in life, including how you treat your relationships, your friendships, everything, to the love of your life, your relationship with God, your body, everything. If you live your life with that motto, you have no choice but to succeed. And so that's why I love it.
I also think you should get a hashtag WWSD. What would Shawn do? Because that would be something that your followers would think about.
Possibly. That one might be a little bit too close to the what would Jesus do?
What would Jesus do? No, I'm not trying to compare you to Jesus. So let's just get that straight.
That might feel a little bit close to it for me, but yeah,
but you said it, like, what would Shawn do? So, I like what you said, because I agree. My course, which I'm not pitching it right now, it's not ready to come out, but it's kind of almost ready, but it's Sales Masters, the 1% Club, right? Because there's only 1%. I've found in 30 years of running sales organizations and owning companies, there's only 1% of the people that are willing to do the work. And, there are a lot of people that'll work this day, that day, sometimes, anytime, but not all the time, every day. You're always on. My dear friend Jan Goss says you have to show up well every day. And I believe that. You've got to show up well. You've got to be on your game, and you have to be relentless, and that's the 1%. And most people are not willing to do the work. And I think that is, if nothing else, doing what you and I do in the world. It's encouraging people to do the work, to be consistent, to show up well. Like, the rules of engagement are they're not that hard to live by. But I think you and I both find that a lot of people, they're just not willing to make the sacrifice.
I agree. And I tell you, people today have it so much easier because of technology. Yeah. Think about this. It used to be where entrepreneurs and salespeople like ourselves used to feel like we were alone because our friends didn't do the things we did, and the people that were in our network didn't. And it was hard to find the 1%ers to hang out with.
Right.
Well, today, because of people like yourself that put together, your art of selling groups and your places to belong, art of the big sell. That's right. When you put people like yourself are putting those places together today for those people to say, well, I am in the 1%. I think like that. I need someone to hang around that's not my regular friends.
Right.
I'll just come hang out with you, Lisa, all day long, and you, Shawn, all day long. And I don't even have to mess with all of the riffraff and excuse makers and the people that don't want to show up, that are just vampires on our system. You know what I mean? So I think today it makes it so much easier if people would just conscientiously choose to get involved with the right people.
I think that you and I should put on a 1% conference.
Let's do it.
And it'd be interesting to see who would actually have the guts to show up, because I know you and I we're very much aligned. We're very drill sergeant in how we believe and what we believe. And, success is not easy, and success is not for sissies. And, I mean, I just, I mean, I know what you had to do to get there. I know what I had to do to get there, the sacrifices made along the way, and we're still doing it. And it's not because for the same reasons we probably did it 20 years ago.
But we do it today. I mean, I don't know your 100% reason, but today I do it because I can, because I already put in all the crappy work. I'll tell you this. I didn't ever have the desire and dream to run a computer system selling computers to hotels. I didn't wake up in the morning and go, I had this grandiose dream of owning a company selling computers to hotels. I just tried lots of different opportunities and finally found one that stuck, that I became great at it. And I milked it till as far as I could take it. Today, it's all the true epitome of the dream of being able to make a living, still, because I'm still an entrepreneur. Just because you have money doesn't mean you stop making money or having the desire, because your goals change. Because now my next goal is to have $1 million in a foundation to really help entrepreneurs. So I got to make some more money. But today it's all about, man, if I can really help somebody become something that they want to, like I was in my 20s, and, generate a business around that, gosh, what an amazing type of business to have. And that's why I do what I do. And I know that's probably a big reason of why you do what you do. But yeah. I agree, Lisa. I think doing a conference with people that say, hey, I'm part of the 1%. But
it's like you have to commit. Like you've got to commit to do the work. I mean, we need to have like somebody there at 6 o'clock in the morning making me do my, oh my God, want to kill myself Orange Theory stuff every morning now. And
exactly.
Right. And you start there, but it's like really doing the work. It isn't just Lisa and Shawn standing up there going, at people, because that's easy to do. I did that for 30 years.
I think, sorry to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, but, I'm doing my second annual business conference for my tribe members this August.
1 million of them?
And, well, no, these are just people in my mentorship group. And I limited it to just 40 because I just built a new event space here on my property here in Franklin. And I'm bringing in 6, 7 coaches, 1%ers. 2 of them have actually built billion-dollar companies. And it's a straight mastermind type conference, 3 days. It's a mastermind. That's the 1%ers. It has to, you and I both, it has to be a mastermind. It has to be engaging, interactive, where they have direct, Lisa, I need help with this. Help me right now type of interaction. Because in a conference, in a workshop, mastermind, whatever you want to call it, there in those types of settings, you do walk away with executable strategies to go double your income. Because if I talk to someone who's created $1 billion company, you give me a day with them, I'll walk out of there knowing what I need to do to double my business.
Amen.
But if I go to a conference where I hear people speak, it's great hyperbole and storytelling and maybe some strategy and things to do. But most people leave those conferences going, well, how do I make it work for me?
Right.
And so I agree with you. I think you and I should put together something and we call up our friends and say, we want you to participate and come and experience this. And I think people should comment below and say, I'm ready right now.
Yeah. Like, okay. So yeah. So and honestly, guys, that was not rehearsed. Shawn and I
right
working
now
together on a couple of other projects, but so as we kind of wrap up, another thing that you and I have got in common is the whole Think and Grow Rich. And the first time you and I talked, probably 6 months ago, one of the first things you said was, how are you involved with Think and Grow Rich? And I said, well, Sharon Lechter is one of my dearest friends, and I'm involved with the Think and Grow Rich movement, of course, her book and us doing some events. And then I know you were involved with sponsoring the Think and Grow Rich movie that my dear friend, among many people were in, my dear friend Sharon Lechter was in. So, I think we've always had that mindset of the Think and Grow Rich and Napoleon Hill. Who would you say is the greatest thought leader of all time? Would you say it's Hill?
Boy, that is a tough one.
See,
yeah.
I did not prep you, did I?
Yeah. I mean, if you take a look at that book, it spans countries, religions, backgrounds, cultures, the basic foundational principles that will be around forever. No matter wherever technology takes you. Those are the foundational things that you can just go read and reread again over and over again as a reminder of that the basic principles of the way you treat people, the way that you live the law within yourself, and it just never changes. And that book will definitely go down in history as probably the biggest movement book ever.
So if you were going to recommend a book to everybody out there right now on business, what would be the one you'd recommend?
The Alchemist.
Oh, The Alchemist? Turning metal into gold.
Yeah.
An alchemist.
Skill cannot be developed at the level that we develop it at until you have the mindset and belief that it's possible.
Right.
And so once you develop a mindset that the universe will conspire to give you everything you want if you just believe it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I mean, it's been proven over and over again.
Right.
We all can go learn how to sell, how to write, how to talk, how to run a computer, how to code, how to do graphics. We can all learn skills. But if we don't believe that, how to believe certain signs and believe certain people and trust our heart and our soul and all that, the rest, the skill, there are a lot of very skilled people who are miserable and broke because they just still don't have the belief that they deserve.
I was about to say, they don't believe that they're worthy. And so then they almost become resentful of other people that believe.
Yep. The best salespeople in the world are the ones that 100% believe that they'll be able to do anything they want. And the way to get through it is to help somebody else.
That's right. It isn't what you sell, it's what you stand for. And if you stand for something big enough, people will buy what you're selling.
Exactly.
That has been my mantra for years. Okay, so we've got to wrap up on this piece of it. I'm going to try, if I don't mess this up, and I want to try and see if there's any Facebook questions. Shawn, can you see the Facebook at all?
Let's see.
Because if you can't, I can probably go this way. I stopped the recording, but I'm going to minimize this. Here we go. Okay, so now I can see you on Face. I can see Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to see here. Oh my goodness, we have a lot of people on here, but I think it's semi-frozen, so I'm not seeing it because I'm literally frozen on there. And we had lots of big people on there. BC, and BC built the world's fastest production car, and he was just commissioned by Mattel to build the 50th anniversary Hot Wheel. He and I did a TV show together in Canada. I adore him. Yeah, all kinds of people on here. Wow. Bummer, we cannot get through. Yeah, it's frozen. I mean, I think they can still see it, but the questions are frozen. So, Shawn, if you and I can go back in and answer some of those, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. That's how I was saying. That's the thing about Facebook too, is it just doesn't draw the interaction of question answering as fast as it. What I thought on Facebook is we say, everybody who's watching right now, if you have a question, ask it right now because we're looking at it. Whereas Instagram and Periscope, people are just boom, 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 or they're out of there. If they're not getting immediate answering of their question, they're like out of there.
Yeah, no, it's great. All right, my friend, I'm going to shut down. So everybody, Shawn Thomas, Ask a Millionaire. How do people follow you? How do they get involved in your tribe?
Well, to follow me and just kind of consume the daily content that I put out, I've got 2 Instagram accounts. One is my business, which is Ask a Millionaire. And that's where we put up, kind of generic motivation, stories, videos around inspiration and how people are, creating great positive change in the world. And then there's a little bit of humor thrown in every now and then. And that's where I do my live streams. So all of my live streams I do on the Ask a Millionaire channel. I usually do them in the morning and then at evening when I am home here at my house in Franklin. And then on my personal account, AKA Shawn Thomas, SHAWN, that's where I do most of my Instagram stories, sharing kind of the routines that I do, the books that I read, the lifestyle, the travel, all the fun stuff.
Wine. I see those wine pictures. I'm coveting them.
Absolutely. And so that's where I do most of that. And yeah, we need to share a bottle of wine very soon.
Very soon. Very soon. All right, my friend. Thank you. I want to tell everybody out there, follow him on Instagram. I learned so much just in the 6 months that you and I've known each other and worked on some things together. And it's a lot of fun to work with you because you're the real deal. I mean, you really are the millionaire and you really do give back. And I know that that's why the universe is going to bless the socks off of you because you're that person. And so I highly recommend following Ask a Millionaire and Shawn Thomas. So anyways, everybody, thank you very much. As always, thank you to Shawn Thomas for taking time and investing in my tribe. And I will see you guys again soon.
Thanks so much, Lisa.